Okay, this is skill set 4. So skill set 4 is all about dimensions of formula, which actually wasn't assessed in the last papers because of the COVID, but I'm going to go through them anyway. So when you just have one letter, so if you've got A, or if you've got 4A, if you've got pi A, because pi is obviously a number, then they represent lengths. And obviously you could do a length add a length, no problem. That would just make another length. So if you had like 4A, add 3B, add 5C, for example, or very similar down the bottom, you've got 4A, 3B, and 2C. Those are all lengths, which works out fine. That can add up to a length. If you've got two lengths multiplied, for example, if you've got A times A, that means A squared. That makes an area. If you've got A squared, add B squared, two areas can also add up to make another area. So that would also work out fine. For example, down the bottom, they've got pi B squared. Pi is just a number, so a lot of people get very confused when they put pi in it. But this is an area, and then AB would also be an area. So two areas added would just make another area. So yes, that can be an area. If you've got three lengths multiplied, that obviously makes a volume. So if you had A times A times A, that would be A cubed, so that's a volume. If you had ABC, A times B times C, those are three different lengths multiplied, that makes a volume. So if you had 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, no matter how many volumes added, they would make another volume. So for example, I've got 3 letters here, add another 3 letters here, that makes a volume, no problem, it works. Sometimes, however, things can be impossible. So for example, if you've got 2 letters and 3 letters, you can't do that. You can't do an area add a volume. That doesn't make anything. So an area add an area would just make another area, but an area add a volume makes nothing. So some formulas can be impossible to have a dimension for. After the dimensions of formula, we've got an expand in brackets. We've got expand in single brackets, very straightforward. So don't forget, we've got Santa hats. So we would do 4 times our 3x. So 4 times 3x gives us, with our answer, 12x. 4 times 4 gives us 16. They wrote 21. I don't know what they're doing here. Let me correct this for them. So this would be 16 here. Then we would do minus 2 times 3x, that gives us 6x, and minus 2 times minus 6. Very careful, because you've got minus 2 minus 6, that makes positive 12. So obviously this is going to be wrong because I got 16, but you then need to do 12x, take away our 6x to get 6x, but then they would obviously do 16, where's mine? So then they would do 16, add 12 to give us 28 instead of 33. That's wrong on there. Then we've got some foils. So if you've got 2 brackets, we do our first one. So we do 2x times 5x. Then we do our outer ones. So we do 2x and 3x. I like to just do our 2 Santa hats. A Santa hat above and a Santa hat below. I'll show you when I do mine. And then we've got minus 4 times 5x and minus 4 times 3x. And we can only bring in our ones in the middle. So our 10x squared would stay the same. But we would bring together our 6 and minus 20. And we would then have our 12 on the end. So let us go through task 11. So we're going to state whether it's a length, area, or volume, or it can be impossible. So this one we've got 2, so that's an area. This one we've got 2, so that's an area, so therefore it's going to be area. So length is 1, area 2, volume 3. This one we've got 2 letters. This one we've got 2 letters. Numbers, irrelevant, basically. So you don't really need the big numbers in front. Pi is obviously a number. So if you've got a 2 and a 2, that makes an area. We've got, this one is a 3, so that's volume. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, so that's also a 3, so therefore that is volume. This one we've just got a 1 letter, and this one we've got 1 letter. 1 letters are lengths. So all of those were possible. Don't worry if you didn't understand those two. Well, I don't think they're going to be in the next papers you assess, but don't quote me on that. Right, expanding, Santa hat, 7 times x, that's just 7x. 7 times 5, that is 35. On our next one, we've got plus 4 times 2x, that's going to be 8x. And then we've got 4 times 3, that's going to give us 12. So if we add those together, I'm going to add my x's. 7 add 8 is going to be 15x. Then we've got 35 add 12, that's going to be 47. So that is our answer, 15x add 47. Next ones, so we're going to do our 2 Santa hats again. So we're going to do 5x times 4x, that's going to be 20x. We're going to do 5 times our minus 4, that's going to be minus 20. Very careful on this next one because it is a minus in front of that 5. So we're doing minus 5 times 2x, that's going to be minus 10x. Then we're going to do minus 5 times positive 5. When we're doing minus 5 times positive 5, that makes minus 25. So if we bring this together, we've got 20 take away 10x, that gives us 10x. Then we've got minus 20 minus another 25, that gives us minus 45. Another expand and simplify. We've got 4 times 2x, that gives us 8x. Got 4 times minus 6, that's minus 24. Now there's nothing in front of this one, so it's like an invisible 1. So if you were doing minus 1 times 5x, it'll be minus 5x. But then if you were doing minus 6, that means plus 6. So very careful on this one. So then we've got 8, take away 5, that's 3x. And then we've got minus 24, add 6 to get minus 18. Next ones, these will be more like foil, so I like to do 2 sand hats. So we do our first ones. So we do 2x times 2x, that's 4x squared. Then O is next, so we do our outer ones. So we do 2x times 6x, that's going to be 12x. So I've done my top sand hat, and now I'm going to do my 4. So basically I've done the 2x times both of them, now I'm going to do the 4 times both of them. So I do 4 times 2x, so my inner ones, so that's going to be 8x. And then I do 4 times 6x, so that's going to be 24. So my 2 sand hats, basically. So I've got my 4x squared, there's no other x squared, so I can't add that. All I can do is add together these ones. So I got 12x add 8x, which gives me 20x, and my 24 on the end. So you can't add those together because they're different variables. It's basically got an x squared in, that's just got an x, and that's got nothing. Next one, we've got 3x times 2x, so that gives us 6x squared. Then we do 3x times our minus 5, so our outer one, so that goes minus 15x. Then we do our inner one, so 5 times 2x, that gives me 10x. And our last ones, we do minus 5 times, plus 5 times minus 5, so gives minus 25. So we've got 6x squared, then we do minus 15, add 10 to give us minus 5x. And we minus 25. So again, you can only bring together those middle ones. Last expanding bracket, so we've got 5x times 2x, that gives us 10x squared. Then I do 5x times minus 7, so that's minus 35x. Then we do our inner one, so we've got minus 4 times 2x, that's minus 8x. And minus 4 times minus 7 gives us positive 28, because a minus times minus is a positive. So we've got 10x squared, so we've got minus 35 minus another 8 gives us minus 43x, and we add 28. Okay, task 12, we're going to express ABC, represent lengths, state whether the expression could be a length, area, volume, or sometimes it can be impossible. So this has just got one letter in. And this has got one letter, and this has got one letter, so therefore they're all lengths, so we can add those together to make a length. This one's got 1, 2, 3 letters in, so that is a volume. This has got 1, 2, 3 letters in, so that is also a volume, so we can add the volumes to make a volume. Don't forget, pi doesn't make much difference. This one we've got 1, 2 letters in, so it's going to be an area. This one's got 1, 2, 3 letters in. You can't do this one, it's impossible. Okay, so we can't add an area and a volume. It doesn't make an area or a volume. It doesn't. It's just no dimension to that. Right, next one we've got a letter and a letter, so that's 2 there. We've got 2 there. Yes, you can do a 2 and a 2, which make an area. Okay, expanding and simplifying some brackets. So we've got 7 times x, that's 7x. We've got 7 times 5, that is 35. We've got 4 times 2, that's 8x. And we've got 4 times 3, that is 12. So we can bring those together, 7x and 8x. That makes 15x. I think this was the same as the last one. 35 and 12, that makes 47. Next one. We've got 6 times 6x, that's 36x. 6 times minus 4, that's minus 24. Then we've got, careful because it says minus 5. So we've got minus 5 times 9, that's minus 45x. Then we've got minus 5 times minus 8, that's positive 40. So very careful. We're going to bring together our x's. So we've got 36x take away 45x, that's minus 9x. Then we got minus 24, add our 40, which is positive 16. Doesn't matter which way around you write that. If you've got 16, take away minus 9x, for example, that's fine. Next one, expanding. So we've got 3 times 6x, that's 18x. We've got 3 times 5y, which is 15y. Then we've got minus 2 times 3x, that's going to be minus 6x. Minus 2 times minus 8, that's positive 16y. Bring together my x's, so I got 18x, take away 6x, that gives me 12x. Now I can bring together my y's, so I got 15, add 16, that makes 31y. Right, we've got double brackets, so a bit of foil or double Santa hats, however you would like to do it, should end up with the same answer. So I'll explain this one with foil. So we do our first ones, we've got 8x times 7x, that's 56x squared. Then we do our outer ones, so the two outside ones, we've got 8x and times 3x, that gives us 24x. Then we do our inside ones, our two ones next to each other, so that's 3 times 7x, that makes 21x. And then we do our two last ones, so 3 times 3, which is 9. So that makes 56x squared. 24 add 21, that makes 45x, and our 9 on the end. If I just do my two Santa hats for this one, so we've got 4x times 3. Oh, I mean, I do my Santa hats all the time, but I just, so we got 12x squared. Then I do my 4x times my minus 7x, that's minus 28x. If you notice, I'm doing the 4x times both of those brackets, the numbers in the brackets. Then I do my 2 times both the numbers in the brackets. So everything's times by itself, basically. Everything gets times. So we've got 2 times 3, that gets 6x. And 2 times minus 7, that gives minus 14. So I've got 12x squared, and if I do minus 28, add another 6, that makes minus 22x. And we got minus 14. Last one, we've got 2x and 3x, that makes 6x squared. 2x times minus 5, that makes minus 10x. Minus 8 and 3, I almost said minus 3 then, minus 24x. And minus 8 and minus 5, that makes positive 40. So we've got 6x squared. If I bring together minus 10 and minus 24, that makes minus 34x. And we've got